Right. Also here with us is Sumi Terry. She's director of the Asia program at the Wilson Center and a former CIA analyst. It's good to see you, Sumi. So give me your overall impression. There was all of the secretive nature leading up to it, what happened, what Pelosi said, and who she met with on the ground, and the reaction to China. What is your reaction from China? What is your overall impression? What was gained, what was lost with this visit?
So first, I feel very conflicted. I'll just say that.
Do you?
Yeah, I do, because I think it's important to point out that Speaker Pelosi has every right to visit Taiwan, Taipei. And I think it's admirable that she's showing some sort of principle, resolve, her commitment to defend democracy, to defend Taiwan if Taiwan gets attacked. And it is actually China that's hyperventilating and hyperbolic. I mean, Xi Jinping in his phone call with Biden said, well, you're playing with fire, and if you play with fire, you're going to get burned. This is really escalatory rhetoric. So, for me personally, to see third highest ranking US official, second in line to presidency, she's a woman sitting down with female president of Taiwan, sort of standing up to China, bullying China. So there is that. And there's something satisfying about seeing that, to stand up again to China.
I'm seeing there's a but coming.
Yes, there is a but coming, because it's absolutely true that we are creating tension right now in the Taiwan Strait. Can we afford to create this kind of tension with China when we are distracted? We have limited resources. We are engaged there's Russia's invasion of Ukraine. There's war going on right now. There's a situation in Iran. North Korea is on the verge of conducting 7th nuclear tests, and where nobody's been talking about that. So in this climate, I do question timing of the visit and whether it's it's helpful, because it will lead to escalation. I don't see Xi Jinping bluffing about this. Not that it will lead to a military conflict, but there are many, many things that China can do short of military conflict that's going to escalate tensions.
The White House is trying to understandably bring down the temperature in all their public comments. They say they're unsurprised by these military drills and the warnings coming from China. Asked if the U.S. and China are now on the brink by this morning, the president's spokesperson said no. Let me play that for everybody, what he said.
No, I don't believe so. Not at all. Look, we knew that the Chinese were going to react this way. We could see it in the rhetoric leading up to the visit. And frankly, we've seen them do some exercises. We've done some flying along the median line of the Taiwan Strait. All this is of a playbook. It's exactly what we expected them to do.
They say they're watching this closely, Kylie. Is anyone giving like a time frame of how long they watch and when they'll know if things are getting too hot or they're cooling down? I mean, obviously November is a key moment for Xi Jinping.
Yeah, I think the next few days are really critical here, because Pelosi is out of the country, right? Excuse me, not the country, the island. She's left, and so China can now fully carry out these exercises. And then we have to watch to see what happens on the trade front, because there has been some trade that China has now restricted with Taiwan. Does that impact global supply chain at all because of the Taiwan Strait and all of that? So there's a lot of factors to consider over the next few days and over the next few weeks. And I do think the fact that Pelosi is out of there now means that we are probably likely to see the full response that China was planning here.
You mentioned Ukraine, and I think this is an important bit of this I'd like your take on, which is because I saw the spokesperson for Vladimir Putin, actually, he was probably asked about it, but he spoke out and commented saying that her visit was a pure provocation. But it has me wondering about lessons from Ukraine here. Lessons, what has Beijing learned from what we've seen play out in Ukraine and Russia's unprovoked attack there, and the international response, and also what has Taiwan learned from Ukraine?
So I think in terms of Beijing and in Taiwan, it's complicated, right?
Yeah.
Because the takeaways are complicated. So on one hand, Putin has been threatening a preemptive use in wider war. So that has deterred the United States and the whole world from really fully helping Ukraine. So there's that. But at the same time, with unprecedented sanctions against Russia, you would think that Xi Jinping has to think twice about what it would mean to try to invade Taiwan right now. And this is the last thing that Xi Jinping needs because he's going for the third term and we have November coming up. So he doesn't want war. But again, I try to say, there's not going to be use of force, but there will be show of force. And there's many things that China can do: cyber attacks, embargoing Taiwanese goods, even quarantining ships from going in and out of Taiwan. I mean, if that's more of an extreme way. But there are a number of things the number of things that China can do that Xi Jinping has to think about. I also think there's broader implication for the region. When South Korea and Japan and everybody else look at this, Russia's invasion, it has to make them nervous, right? But again, I just would think it will complicate Xi Jinping's calculation just because, they don't want to also be sanctioned.
Already complicated, getting more complicated.
Yeah, and we also know that China is learning things very directly from Russia's invasion of Ukraine, right? And we have senior U.S. intelligence officials saying in recent months that China is working hard to be able to militarily take over Taiwan. Not necessarily if that's going to happen today or tomorrow or next week or next month, but I do think that that is a really incredibly important piece of this whole puzzle here, and one of the reasons that Pelosi felt like it was necessary to go now and to reiterate that support for the U.S. to Taiwan.
Good point. It's good to see you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it, guys.